10,
9, 8,
7,
6,
3,
2,
1.
0.
Welcome, one and all, to this last cycle of Dash League Season 5. I'm everyone's favorite caster and commentator, Notgollum, here in the studio today by myself, by my lonesome, just me, myself, and I, and you as the lovely audience. Glad to have everyone here today. We have an exciting match for you. Knight versus ZT. Our maps for today in this final cycle are Abyss and Quarry, the most recent payload map, along with the most recent, although albeit much less recent compared to Abyss, Domination map. These are two very contentious maps within the community opinion. I think in part because they're so new and they're so different compared to the original maps. The first maps in this game being Canyon, which I think was under a different name because it only really had one color. That was a little bit before my time. Same with Waterway, the other Domination map. Both of those maps are a lot smaller in scale than our Payload and Domination maps for today. A lot faster paced, still fairly repetitive. The way you have to play these maps is just so different. You really have to have your coordination in lock in order to take a victory. It looks like so far we have 4 players for each team in today. Over on Knight, we have Lobster Master, Mr. Max, Caged Birdie, and Bob Diddley. On ZT, we have Razmataz, Man with a Perm, Sir Void, Lucky Charms. Still waiting on those fifth players for each respective team. I'm sure they will be in, and we will be able to get this match started. Now, I'll be honest, I was talking about the contentious nature of the two maps of this cycle with the mindset that these are two of my favorite maps to play, just because they're so different. From the more classic Hyperdash maps. I like Abyss especially because it looks visually so distinct from the other payload maps, those being Launchpad and Canyon. I like Jellyfish Room. I like the very large scale of this map, and it's very important for teams also to keep in mind how you want to be splitting up your approach to your cart focus into different sections, especially during a lot of the long straightaways that are a part of this Abyss map. Blue team is, I would think, at least in my opinion, as far as the ideal strategy for these maps, going to want to really focus on cart stacking to an extent that sometimes you can't do against teams of equal skill on the other two payload maps, Launchpad and Canyon. Sometimes teams can get away with cart stacking, sometimes that can be a part of the strategy or not, and kind of you can leave that to respective teams to figure out as they will. But when it comes to this map, some of these straightaways are so isolated and protected that even though the map has a way to flank the cart without the cart ever seeing you, unlike Launchpad and Canyon, has an actual like flank alley that I'm sure we'll see several times throughout this game. If you have your team way up in front of the cart, you have a lot of space created to be able to stack and move through these long straightaways, and whichever team is able to do that better is often going to have a much better chance at achieving victory on this map. That being said, something else to keep in mind is a pre-checkpoint on this map being held at or before the checkpoint on this map is much worse than on Launchpad or on Canyon. On Canyon, I believe it's about 51% is the marker for the checkpoint. On Launchpad, it's somewhat closer to 35 or something like that. I don't exactly remember what it is. It's less than Canyon, but still much further than the 28%, I believe it is, for Abyss. That checkpoint marker is very early, and a team that is not able to make it through the checkpoint here, or conversely a team that's able to hold them there at this checkpoint, is definitely some dire straits, because this is one of the most difficult, I think at least, checkpoints to make, or at least in terms of the point where you can see the checkpoint from the cart. Now I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, and hopefully the rest of you are finding this interesting. Make sure you go ahead and leave a like down on the video, and maybe even click the bell icon if you're interested. It helps with the spreading of awareness for this league that we all know and love so much. But that being said, anyways, back on to the strategy. Once you get to visibility of the checkpoint from the cart, that short distance, teams can get held a surprisingly long time just because of where rocket pickups are, the fact that moving through the flank can get you right near the cart, get blue team right near the cart, but red team also has very easy access to that flank comparatively, and the travel distance to the cart. There's one very quick path through a water room that we will see again. All of this we'll see in the map, and I'll be pointing it out as we go. There's a very quick path to the cart for blue team, but it's very easy for red team to contest that pathway. And the other options, the other 2 or so options to the cart, are comparatively safer just because they're so much longer. It takes so much more time for blue to get to cart if they're not moving through that much faster path. If they don't have their routes figured out and locked in, and they don't have their crossing sightlines to protect each other as they move through water room, blue is going to have a very tough time making it to cart. I'll be interested to see how ZT is going to do opening up on blue team, as I'm not very aware of many of the loadouts for a lot of the members of each respective team here, beyond the fact that Lobster Master has shown himself to be a fairly competent Rocketeer, and that's something that ZT is going to have to be on the lookout for here. They don't have their routes. Looks like ZT does have their 5th player, Lucky Charms, now in the lobby. We are just going to wait and see for next 5th player today. hope that Knight is going to be able to get their 5th player in today. Otherwise, unfortunately, they're going to have to forfeit the first map, as they did schedule for this time, conceivably with 5 players. I'm sure this was not planned. No team wants to forfeit. But it's just very unfortunate if they're not going to be able to play the first map. Them's the rules, though. So we will have another minute or so on the timer before Knight will have to forfeit map 1 and move on to map 2, Quarry, which is another 10 minutes in between maps for Knight to have the chance to get their 5th player in. Looks like, unfortunately, Knight will have to forfeit this first map for today. And we will move on to the 10-minute timer for the starting of the second map, Quarry. That is quite unfortunate to see. I'm sure Knight is yelling and screaming at whatever teammate's supposed to be in for today. To my memory, ZT had a similar circumstance, actually, against Loop, against my team of all teams, where they only had 4 of their normal roster that was able to play for a given day, but a somewhat recently added player to their team was able to hop in for that match, which was good on them. Very nice to have somebody who can be able to hop in last minute. That was good to see. I remember enjoying playing with them in that match. But we will at this point be moving on to Quarry. And we'll see whether or not Lucky Charms and AP will be swapping to get second map, or Lobster Master, I suppose, as the lobby host will be swapping to that map. There is, in theory, the possibility for a reschedule. Oh, it looks like Knight just got their 5th player. Oh, and they hopped out. Don't know where they went. It looks like they're starting to get in here. So Knight will at least be able to play the second map, and if they can take this Quarry, then they'll be able to move on to a control point and still possibly be able to win this match. But I'm sure Knight is very stressed. This is not a great start to already be at a 1 map down circumstance without even having played just yet. But we do have a Mr. Coffee in the lobby today. Love to see it. And we are starting Knight versus ZT. Oh, and we will be playing Abyss today. Okay. Well, personally, I'm still down to watch this map, and I'm not on the board or anything like that, so I'll let them decide what needs to be done at this point. But we have a match today. Knight versus ZT. ZT on blue, pushing the cart first. They are on offense, Knight on defense as red. Servoid on the main screen at the moment is going to be staying relatively close to the cart. Looks like they're looking for those red dash trails before hopping out to wherever those Knight players might appear. It looks like the cart was cleared. Good follow-up there, and ZT seems to have some very solid control beyond whichever Knight player is at the cart currently, and who has just gotten 2 kills and cleared it off. Who is that? Looks like it might have been Lobster Master or Cage Birdie, who was just now taken out, and they are rapidly trying to make their way back to the cart. Bob Diddley and Mr. Coffee getting taken out by Lucky Charms, and now the cart is continuing to plod forward. You can see what I was talking about the importance of needing to stack cart here, as there's a lot of separated open areas in this map with long straightaways for the cart to have to traverse, and you really want to make up as much time as possible because you are going to be slowed down in the latter parts of this map unless you are absolutely dominating over the other team, which so far seems like ZT has done relatively well. We're just now entering the water room, and Knight is starting to have players hit on the cart, but they are getting taken out by the crossing sightlines of ZT. ZT has looked very strong here. The cart has not only barely stopped, but barely even seen any red players up to this point. It looks like Knight is trying to get players set up around the cart, but they're just getting taken out one after another. Lobster Master in the back line now, moving forward to the cart, which has just now been stopped for the first time since that early zone where there were a couple kills on the cart by a sneaky Knight Rocketeer. Knight is just not quite able to make it to the cart. We can see ZT has members in that flank doorway like Razmataz, who was just taken out, and they've done a good job of rotating there. Now Bob Diddley trying to get a peek on the cart, does not get that kill, and that is going to end his life. Servoid, good follow up there, now sticking close to his teammates, letting them push the cart and push forward, and steal rockets from Knight. This is a critical moment for Knight to not have explosives up, as in theory Red has a great defensive advantage with that glass wall there and being able to push your teammates forward as well, and it's very difficult for the cart to defend itself from rockets unless you have very offensive players moving forward for you. And now Knight has a solid setup here, but they are pushed quite far back, and ZT still has another 3 minutes to make it to the checkpoint. You can see what a short distance it is, but you can also see how compared to earlier on in this map, ZT is getting held up significantly here. The cart has been stopped multiple times. They have such a long path to cart, and it's so easy for Knight to set up at this point that although I still give ZT very, very good chances of making it through the checkpoint, especially considering their performance up to this point, they did get delayed quite a lot compared to earlier in the map where they were not stopped at all. Adrian now set up in the flank with another teammate pushing forward behind that pillar where Knight would have to move out of position off of the cart in order to take them out. That was very tricky micro play there. Love seeing little things like that at this high level of play. Sometimes the mind games and the little things can actually make a huge difference. 1 or 2 dashes out of your opponent sometimes can make the difference between pushing the cart consistently and getting a team wipe versus not. You can see Bob Diddley is now set up, trying to watch the flank with those rockets. Personally, I'm a big fan of that as well, as long as you're able to peek back the cart and you don't get taken out. If you are taken out in the flank, the Rocketeer is the most important member of your team at this point in the map, I would say. Just because of their role in clearing cart and generally how easy it is. When the Rocketeer gets taken out, the cart moves for free. And we have made it through checkpoint with 1 minute and 40 or so seconds left. I didn't get the exact time on the clock there, and now Knight, having gotten wiped, is moving forward. And we can see a lot of ZT members are set up in this jelly room. I like to call it Steve Room. That's just the name we've given to the jellyfish there. So if I say Steve, hopefully you won't be too confused there. I'll try to keep with Jelly though, but old habits die hard. Cage Birdie trying to make it through Jelly Health, taken out by Servoid, who's making it darn sure that Knight cannot move through this main rail. They're going to have to move through the flank to avoid them, or move through in force to take out Servoid. It seems like Knight is just flowing in one player at a time and getting succinctly wiped out by these ZT players as a result of not moving together in force. ZT, in the meanwhile, has been very good about having at least 2 players together for every fight, and that's a huge part of the reason why they've done so well up to this point. And with the Perm flanking around, and he has 2 teammates in that C room there, and they completely win that fight. All of them survive. Mr. Max with a crazy arms in the air gun hold taken out by Man with a Perm. Playing very relaxed, taken out by Bob Diddley there. Not quite enough time to move up and grab that flank, but a good call allows Rasmutas to move forward and maybe take out the Rockets. The Rockets take themselves out. They got the kill, but no Rockets are set up for Knight at this time, with Lucky Charms still riding the cart relatively uncontested as we start to enter this jelly room. We can see Lobster Master grabs a rocket, and you can see that experience with the rockets, getting 2 kills after getting taken out, making a little bit of desperate space for the rest of their teammates to hopefully try and gain a momentum advantage in their favor. Cage Birdie getting a good kill on the cart there, trying to stick near it so that ZT has to put their focus on the cart and can't take out the rockets like they did just now. And now Knight, having no rockets, is allowing ZT to push forward consistently. Oh no, and Razmataz dying on the cart. That's very unfortunate timing, as ZT does have the momentum advantage, but there's an opportunity for Knight to recover. We can see the cart was just taken out by Lobster Master's rockets, who is taking a high ground position here on the jellyfish. You see that fairly often with Rocketeers on this map, but despite the height advantage that you would theoretically get there, sometimes hiding in a corner with shotguns like Lobster Master did just then is not only the much more effective option in terms of getting kills consistently, but definitely a much safer option, as that high ground position is very visible and very exposed. Lobster Master is going on an absolute tear on the cart, getting 4 kills, just about completely ending that push entirely by themselves. Knight, able to set up with rockets once again, is getting a hold just like they did at the earlier checkpoint, but this is so much earlier than that checkpoint was in the map. Getting held up this early on in the jelly room is really hurting ZT's performance. They're going to have to move forward in force. Not only that, but try and get movement on the cart while moving forward as a group. That's the one thing that ZT, in the meanwhile, has been lacking, I've noticed, is they're able to push with their advantage very well, but when the game is neutral, when both teams have a similar number of players left alive and there's not currently any ZT members on the cart, when they haven't just gotten a team wipe on Knight, they're not quite as good at focusing on that objective and getting that objective movement while taking fights. It seems like they try to take fights and then move the objective, which is very good if you're able to overpower the team you are playing against, but if you ever get wiped, then you're going to be losing a lot of potential movement there. And now Servoid is set up with Staples. Not quite able to take out Mr. Coffee, but luckily his teammate is. We can see what I was talking about with the trying to win the team fight and then move the cart. There was just no cart movement for that entire fight there. So if Knight is able to focus on distracting ZT, they might be able to delay this cart a lot more than they would have initially suspected. And now, as we are entering this final straightaway towards the 100% mark, we are entering one of the most difficult pushes out of any payload map. This is most certainly the most difficult map to make it all the way to the 100% mark of all 3 of the currently existing payloads. Lucky Charms moving forward to try and take out Lobster Master, who is set up with rockets. Once again, Cage Birdie moving forward, not letting ZT set up for free, gets 2 kills there. That just about kills that push, unless Man with a Perm and his fellow teammate are able to take out several Knight players. We can see the rockets are set up way in the back line, and Lucky Charms trying to push forward is not able to secure that kill, but someone else on his team is. We can see Lobster Master is dead on the scoreboard. Knight following up on the cart and still getting some cart movement. If ZT can continue to stay as focused on this objective as they have been in the past 30 seconds or so, they're actually going to get serious cart movement even compared to earlier on in this map. It's more incremental, but considering the difficulty of this portion of the map, they are doing fairly well for themselves here. Nobody on ZT on the cart during that entire fight, though. We can see part of that give and take here, where when blue team is at such a spawn and positional disadvantage in terms of where the cart actually is, you kind of have to just suicidally push the cart and try and make space for your teammates to not get hit while riding the cart as much as possible, but expect to lose that team fight. You can't win an entire fight and then expect to get movement right afterwards, because Knight spawns right there in the backline. They have rockets right on that right rail. That's what Lobster Master is riding on the way to the cart and picking up rockets consistently. We've got a minute and 18 seconds. ZT is at 89.7%. Very well done so far, even if you consider the average movement for teams of equal skill level on this map. This is very solid movement, but considering what they could be doing up to this point, ZT could be a lot further. Knight is doing fairly well at keeping ZT distracted and taking them out anytime they're on the objective. ZT gets a good wipe there, and they're getting some solid movement, but Bob Diddley able to follow out, gets 2 kills, wipes the cart, and third kill there. Will they get a fourth? No, they get taken out by Adrian Veit, who's now double stacking with their teammate, and Knight has no rockets to speak of. They're quickly trying to get some sort of sightline on the cart, but Adrian backs up. 2 kills of Knight players. Lobster Master set up with double rockets now. This is a very tentative position to be in, as Lobster Master could be hit from the back at any time. They're kind of expecting ZT to not go through that alley, which it seems like they didn't, but Lobster Master was taken out anyways, and now ZT is in the final push towards 100. But Servoid was going for an overtime, but got a peek on the cart and got taken out, and ZT gets no overtime there, making it to 96.51%. Very far, considering the average distance made on this map. Knight has their work cut out for them, but if they're able to stay focused on the objective, if they're able to pull the attention of ZT, who I would say is significantly out-killing Knight on average at this point, they have a shot here. Just because you get out-killed doesn't mean you are going to lose outright. If your strategy, if your focus is up to snuff, there is potential here, but it is going to be very difficult for Knight. KNHT going into the water room, almost gets a kill on the rockets there, but gets taken out by Razmataz, who goes back for health and is now with his teammate Lucky Charms, getting a few shots on him there. So far, better movement than ZT at this point. Rockets get taken out as well, and now KNHT is trying to get a hold on this health room, but is looking in too many different directions at once. Good dashing by KNHT. That was such a neck-breaking dash moment there. Gets 2 kills as a result, and now Knight is triple stacking. They know they have to make as much of whatever advantage they can get as possible. They are 5 stacking the cart, just waiting for ZT to get there. I don't know about that level of cart stacking, as Servoid was able to pretty much completely wipe the cart on their own. When the other team is outskilling you even a little bit, you still need to try and make space for yourself. You can't completely stack around the cart, as all of ZT was able to set up here. If you remember, at this point in the map, Knight not only had hardly any players around the cart when Knight was red team, but the few players they did get were completely by themselves, as they had to move through a ZT gauntlet just to get there, which is what Knight is dealing with at the moment, with Servoid getting kill after kill with these double shotguns. Not quite able to wipe the cart, but is now pulling Knight players back. Good kill by Mr. Coffee, taking out 2 ZT players. The cart is now moving forward into the water room, but we are behind the time that ZT was at up to this point, and now Razmataz setting up with double SMGs, watching this back alley, taking out Mr. Max. The cart is double stacking at the moment, however, and because Razmataz does not have rockets here, they have to move next to the cart in order to get a kill. ZT getting wiped is allowing Knight to double stack here, and this is what I wanted to see from ZT earlier, is Knight's focus on the objective and stacking it as much as possible, and still taking fights. There's an active battle going on, but Knight is still getting movement. This is where they will have an opportunity, a possibility to make it to ZT's mark if they can keep this up consistently. But we are moment to moment inching towards the very difficult hold, and the cart has already been stopped for quite a long time considering the circumstances. which is not a good sign for Knight's forward progression towards the checkpoint. We are at 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Usually, you want to be seeing the cart at the bottom of that hill at about 4 minutes, which is what we saw, but then continue moving up the hill during those 4 minutes. But the cart has hardly moved at all. A lot of ZT, too many ZT members in that back alley get taken out by those Knight players. Mr. Coffee trying to get one more kill before making it to cart, but Servoid able to turn around and follow up and is now in a very strong disruptive position. Knight is getting movement on the cart, but Servoid goes in for the kill, takes out Lobster Master, and now there's no Knight players left on the cart as we approach the 2 minute and 40-second mark. If we remember, previously, when ZT was on blue team, they were all the way in observation of the checkpoint. At this point in time in the map, and now Razmataz set up with double rockets. Other ZT players, I assume, moving forward to create space. This is something that Knight had a lot of difficulty doing, not really for lack of trying, but because ZT is able to player for player outkill them so consistently, and this is part of the difficulty with playing against teams that have very strong killers, while meanwhile you are very objective focused. Is Knight really has to get their groups together. They have to be playing as a team. They cannot have individuals rush in and expect to get consistent movement. They have to be distracting players like Servoid who are in the back lines while getting movement on the cart, which we can see Knight is doing right now, and they're starting to make some consistent forward progression. Hopefully Mr. Coffee is going to make his way towards the cart as the last ZT disruptor is taken out. But will the Rockets be able to live long? No. They're not able to quite hit the cart as consistently as they needed to, and Mr. Coffee got some decent movement there, but we're only at 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and we're rounding that last corner before the checkpoint. Adrian locking down that flank as we get more movement by Knight on the cart. Good kills by Adrian, solid headshots there, but Knight has been able to move forward just a little more than I would like, considering the strong position that ZT is in. ZT really needs to make sure that Knight can't group up in that water room, which is what Knight has been doing up to this point. Mr. Max with his insanely high gun hold getting taken out there. I wonder how that works out with them. I'm going to go over to their POV for just a second, because that's a very entertaining gun hold. I'm sure they practiced with it plenty of times, but it's just so different from anything I've ever seen. We can't even see where their hands are. They are wings widespread. Taken out in the flank there. There we go. 30 seconds left, and Knight has not made it to the checkpoint. They've been able to get some movement here, but it's been so difficult to make it past this ZT gauntlet through the flank. I think Knight is just putting a little bit too much focus on trying to get just enough kills to move the cart. They really just need to rush to the cart. Not worry about those kills at all. Take them out. Take out ZT players if you have the chance, but now that ZT is stacking players with a shield on the cart, Knight has no chance of making it through that checkpoint there, and ZT gets the win for map 1. Well done, ZT. Well done. We can take a look at the scores here. ZT, top scoring over on their team is Servoid, 77 kills, 26 deaths, absolutely insane. KD there, 8,755 score for them over on Knight. Caged Birdie top scoring for their team, 43 kills, 52 deaths, 5,600 score. Well done, Caged Birdie. That was fun to watch. We saw some very different strategies going on there. A lot of focus on different routes making it to the cart, and I'll be interested to see how Knight will shape up in this quarry. Traditionally, though, domination maps favor whichever team can outkill the other much more than payloads tend to do, although either map will favor a team that can outkill the other, and both maps require coordination to an extent. Quarry especially requiring, I would think, more patience than a waterway does, for example. Knight is going to have a difficult time here as ZT is fairly decent on Quarry. We're going to go ahead and jump right in to map 2.
Starts in 3, 2, 1.
The opener
Go.
for domination maps
Blue
like
takes
Quarry
C.
and Waterway are very important. We can see Servoid in the bottom left
First
gets a kill
elimination.
in the tunnel there and is making their way to
Red takes C.
Knight's button, gets a hit on it. Bob Diddley getting a good kill at B, however. Are they going to get the second one? No, Razmataz able to take them out. ZT is not going to get a score, however, because they do not have their own button. They had the opportunity, but because nobody on ZT hit their own base in the beginning, they are not going to get that countdown.
Red team scores.
And there we go. That's a countdown for ZT. Mr. Coffee able to pop out of nowhere and get a counter on their own base, but ZT is putting on the heat. And with the perm getting a good kill there, not button holding, however, giving Knight the opportunity to get a counter once again, and we can see double shields for Knight. I wonder where that player went. They are somewhere off in the background. Lucky Charms trying to defend B from whichever Knight player jumped past Mr. Coffee. And Bob Diddley now getting taken out by Lucky Charms. Bob Diddley now is on base defense mode. We can see not a whole lot of button holding by ZT. It is giving Knight plenty of opportunities to get counters and extend this match well beyond the point that you might expect it to last, considering ZT's performance up to this point. ZT has just been all over Knight's base. In the meantime, Servoid on base defense. Button hold for ZT, who gets their first point. Now as we move on to opener number 2 with ZT 1 point, Knight 0. First to 3 points is going to take this match. Servoid grabs that top dash, avoids the button. Now here's a little thing I've noticed is you, as a top dash grabber, if you're moving through that route, you do have the chance to grab your own button for a quick countdown and avoid something like ZT experienced at the beginning of point 1. It looks like they have grabbed their own button at this point and have control of that tunnel and are getting a countdown as well. Bob Diddley now on button defense has to contend with 2 different ZT players taken out by Adrian, and Servoid is at the button as well. All of ZT is at Knight's button and no Knight players are left around to counter at B. Mr. Max taken out. That's a complete wipe. ZT gets their second point. Knight really has to change something up in their strategy and their routes if they're going to have a chance at, let alone scoring a point, being able to even extend this match beyond another minute. ZT has completely locked things in since their first score. As several ZT members make it towards B, Adrian is going to turn around because Knight players have snuck past their tunnel dasher, a Servoid, I assume. Adrian is just walking around slowly. They're going for a stroll, takes out Lobster Master, slowly hits the button. Seems like Adrian might be getting a little bit bored here, and in my experience, if you're outskilling a team this much, but you're just walking around, sometimes that can actually bite you in the butt in ways you might not expect, as Knight has been able to get counter after counter. Mr. Coffee is doing very well, and ZT has all but lost this push at this point. Since no other ZT members were able to follow up in time, Knight now has the opportunity to actually push towards the B button. Servoid doing very well for themselves, trying to take dashes when possible. ZT is getting a countdown, as Razmataz in the bottom left we can see is at Knight's button. Servoid starting to follow up. Countdown for ZT, only 3 Knight members left alive. Button hold. Button holder taken out, but Knight not able to get the counter. ZT wins 3-0 on that Quarry. And that is the end of this league match for today. Well done for ZT. We can go ahead and look at the scoreboard here. Lucky Charms top scoring for their team at 13 kills and 4 deaths. 3,300 score. Meanwhile, over on Knight, Lobster Master, 5 kills, 11 deaths, 3,900 score, almost 4,000. Top scoring for the entire map. A lot of button counters there. Well done, Lobster Master. Well done, Lucky Charms. Well done, both teams. That was a fun match to watch. But now, we have reached the end of this league match. I'm going to bid you all a fine farewell. And I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye, everybody.